Moin! 3D printed props with metallic finish look amazing. They are quickly produced, but then comes a post-processing stage. In this video I showcase 3 methods of finishing these Star Trek badges, ranging from minimal to maximum effort. I'll be using both FDM and resin prints, demonstrating techniques from simple spray painting to finer airbrush methods and even electroplating. Let's get started. I print the same model 3 times, first on the FDM printer, laying horizontally. Maximally fast but minimally appealing due to the visible layer lines. And then the same model 3 times on my resin printer. The resin print is inherently smooth, requiring very minimal post-processing. When working with resin, you're dealing with not so healthy chemicals, so take good care of yourselves. Just a quick note, I always wear gloves, a respirator, a lab coat, and of course safety goggles. Always, throughout all the process shown here. Please make sure to do the same. Now we're going to smooth out the resin prints. A good way to do this is with coarse to medium grit sandpaper. So we have 3 resin prints sanded to a rough finish and 3 FDM prints. We'll use 1 pair for each technique. For me, minimal effort means no post-processing. The resin print is already very smooth, but the FDM print remains as it was when it came off the printer. I use gold and chrome spray cans from the hardware store for painting. Two thin coats of each color. After drying, simply assemble the pieces and it's done. This process is ridiculously quick and the result is not too bad. No one expected a mirror finish and I didn't achieve that either. I'm sure it somehow works though. Unfortunately, I'm just an average painter. Let's continue. For a more elegant coat of paint, I use special paints applied with an airbrush. The prints need to be smooth for this process. First, the FDM print is roughly sanded. Then, I apply 2 layers of car filler to conceal the layer lines. The whole piece is sanded with 600 grit sandpaper and finished with a layer of primer. Even this fine layer is sanded with finer sandpaper. Everything needs to be cleaned and degreased thoroughly. Now I spray a black glossy base coat using an airbrush. This is done with low pressure. After drying, a very thin layer of special chrome paint can be applied thinly on the black base. This creates a highly reflective metallic effect. The same process can be done with gold-colored paint, so let's apply it. Now reassemble the pieces. I find this method much better than using spray cans, although I'm not completely satisfied with the gold color. It doesn't seem gold enough somehow. But remember, I do this only occasionally and this doesn't mean that the result here is exceptionally good. I hope you understand what I mean. We are now moving on to electroforming and subsequent electroplating. For this process we need smooth and flat prints again. I then spray electrically conductive copper paint. It can be wonderfully used in an airbrush by diluting it with acetone. Make sure to apply several thin layers. This will result in smooth copper layers. I'm often asked why I always electroform with copper. The reason is that copper deposits quickly and the layer is very soft. Additionally, copper and its corresponding electrolyte are relatively affordable. By the way, it can be reused many times. I place the anodes on both sides of the container and connect them to the positive terminal of the power supply, which can provide a constant current. The exact value of this current can be easily calculated using this formula. I now hang the parts in the tank using my rotary jig and connect them to the negative terminal. I've explained how all of this works in detail in many of my previous videos. Feel free to check them out. It's actually not particularly difficult. Turn up the current and set it to the target value. Then simply wait for 4 hours and afterwards you'll have a quite thick layer of copper on your 3D print. After that, wash it thoroughly in water and let it dry quickly. All remaining parts are produced in the same way. It already looks great. Now the pieces can be finely sanded with the finest sandpaper. Now you should polish the entire thing, either by hand or using a polishing machine. Personally, I'm not a big fan of these machines, but they are faster. There's another crazy method, but I won't discuss in this video. Once everything sparkles and reflects, I degrease the parts. There are various ways to do this too. Here I use electroplating degreaser and degrease electrically. It just results in a cleaner finish. Now nickel and gold are applied to the parts. Here too, I use bath. Although it's not absolutely necessary, only very thin decorative layers are deposited, very briefly. This can also be done with a galvanic pen. Nickel works without issues, 3 minutes at approximately 2 volts. The gold electrolytes also presents no problems, the parts stay in it for only 20 seconds as it's otherwise too expensive. Remember, each electrolyte requires its own anode. Additionally, some of these electrolytes are more toxic than the copper electrolyte. Please read the instructions carefully. Dispose of electrolyte residues at the nearest recycling center, as they are all highly environmentally hazardous. And this is the electroplated result. These are all the parts: rattle can, airbrush, electroplating. And as a bonus, the sound of electroformed parts. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, leave comments and hit the bell notification. It greatly supports this channel. Thank you, take care, tschüss.